Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Farlands or Bust. That was a high-pitched woof from Wolfie there. There we go. There's the more Wolfie woof. The deeper woof. He's gone through puberty. He's ready now. But, yeah, welcome back to Farlands or Bust. This is episode 485 of Farlands or Bust. And we are continuing on to the Farlands. The creepers are mingling with the cows. The whole world has been thrown asunder. I don't know why. But regardless, like I said, episode 485. Today is Wednesday, May 20th. And as I mentioned in the last episode, as it was recorded live, we raised our goal. Fundraiser for Child's Play charity, we raised $50,000. Our goal for Season 5 was appropriately $50,000, but even so, you continue donating at farlandsorbust.com. We are up to $50,175. Had a few small donations come in to make that an even number. Some people don't like the odd, the spare change on the end there, so somebody came in and gave us a nice round $50,175 amount. So thank you very much, everybody who keeps donating and continues donating. And I mentioned that we did obviously get a very large, very generous donation over the weekend. And because we went from, what were we at? We were at like 39,000. And then we went up to all of a sudden 49,000. So yeah, we had a large donation come in, and I did hear from the person. I didn't. Now the reason I didn't say their name in the last episode is because I wanted them to contact me, and if I said their name, then who knows would have come out of the woodwork saying, "I am that person. This is my name." So that's why I didn't share the name. And actually, I heard from the person via email. And I'm going to continue withholding the name based on his wishes. He feels that to be a good idea. But it was a very, very generous donation. Like I said, only Notch in the past has donated such a generous amount. So I thank you very much. You know who you are. And yes, it wasn't a rounding error. There were no missing decimals. They were just feeling incredibly charitable. They said they started watching. He started watching around the time that we had the article in the New Yorker. We were all very fancy, posh article written about us, and what we referred to as Mr. Mac. And yeah, that's apparently when he heard of the series and has been watching since. He said he really wanted to donate when we were going east, and just didn't end up doing it during then. And then he said the reason he donated now is because he heard that the June anniversary date was coming up. June 5th is when we actually first started raising money for Child's Play charity back in 2011. So 4 years ago was when we first started raising money for Child's Play charity. He heard about that, but then he also noticed how we were still quite a bit of ways from the goal, so he decided to indeed do that. And then some, get us much closer, and then a few other people came in and donated the final amounts. So all the donations, very generous. I do appreciate it, but I'm glad to have heard from he who will remain nameless. But just know that's very, very, very nice to have heard and to have made sure that it was all legit and on the up and up. It just sounds like just another Farlander. He doesn't seem to be any sort of wealthy philanthropist or any sort of it's no Bill Gates figure or anything like that. Just a normal person who says his work has done him well, both financially and I suppose he seems to enjoy what he's doing, and he decided to turn around and he could help others with that. He was told a few other instances where he has donated to other causes and just decided to go towards the Farlands or Bust fundraiser for Child's Play charity. So it's a thumbs up indeed, and everybody, including myself, and I'm sure everybody watching, is very happy to have raised the amount and now working towards planning the next Flabathon number 4, the 4th Flabathon the 4th. 4 score and flobathons ago. I don't know. But yeah, everybody's appreciative. I'm sure even further, the folks at Child's Play Charity, both the organizers behind it, as well as all the kids in hospitals around the world who will benefit greatly from that donation, and all the donations, getting toys, books, and games into their hospitals. And also they have a separate Child's Play Charity in the last year, I mentioned a couple times, started a separate program where they have these kind of arcade console booths that they also provide to shelters, family shelters around the United States. Multiples of those, which is another great cause, and kind of, there's a connection here between the Fidgy games, the gaming, and the charity, and happiness, happiness, and sunshine, and blue skies, and rainbows, and kittens, and all that fun stuff. No kittens are involved in the Child's Play Charity thing, I'm afraid, unless it's of the digital kind, perhaps some sort of iPad game that involves raising a kitten perhaps gets donated. I don't know, but yeah, great stuff. And once again, I'm very happy to have reached that amount. And now we're going to look forward to the flobathon. And of course, at the end of that, I will finally press F3, which will give us our coordinates, and we will see how far we have walked since the last time. Over a year ago, back on March 1st, 2014, we pressed F3 after that flobathon. We were at 1479940. Just about 1.5 million blocks from spawn. Are we over 2 million? Probably. Careful, Wolfie. Are we more than that? 2.5 million? Might be stretching it, although we'll see. We will see. That's something to look forward to. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I don't have particular specific details. I do realize that June 5th is the anniversary. I believe that falls on a Friday, so not entirely the best time for a marathon live stream. It might. I'm considering not this weekend, but the weekend after, the final weekend, of May. This weekend, at least in America, is Memorial Day, so it's possible that a lot of people are certainly off work, maybe, but maybe not available. That's the time to be outside with your family and doing the cookouts and the parades and all that fun stuff. Yeah, Memorial Day has parades. I get confused with Labor Day. Labor Day is something different. But yeah, cool beans indeed. But we are continuing on here in Far Lands or Bust, playing in Minecraft Beta 1.7.3. Suppose if there's any new viewers amongst us. An older version of Minecraft. The best version of Minecraft. Well, to me, kind of. There's just something about the recent versions. It just doesn't feel right. It feels like too much. Too much, man. There's too much going on. And this is a very simplistic times here. Simple times for simple people. Yep, that's me. But yeah, we do still have some new questions from donors that have come in the past few weeks, but we also have quite a few that I've actually been holding on to and simply haven't gotten around to answering. So if even like 3 months ago you asked a question with your donation to Child's Play Charity and it hasn't been answered yet, worry not. It's quite possibly still on the list here. I just haven't gotten around to answering it, so maybe we can get through those. I'm assuming, although I would certainly encourage continued donations, but I'm assuming donations might slow down a bit now that we've raised our goal. But that'll give us time to get through these questions. But yeah, you can still farlandsabust.com. Keep donating. We have a question here from a recent donation. TPK. Wow, my brain exploded trying to pronounce that. It's just letters. TPK42. TPK42 asks, will you be traveling to watch the solar system, or I'm sorry, watch the solar system explode. No, to watch the solar eclipse that's happening 2 years from now in the United States. Yes, 2017, there is a total solar eclipse whose path of totality, professionals, whose path of totality will take it clean across the middle of the United States, I think from Washington all the way down across to the Carolinas, I believe. The point of most totality, I believe, is in Tennessee. Was it Tennessee or was it Nebraska? No, it's Tennessee. Or Kansas. One of the two. The lower eastern plains states. And, people travel around the globe. They'll travel to Antarctica. They'll travel to Australia, to some islands in the Pacific. They'll travel to Africa and Egypt and countries in Asia from the United States or from anywhere to chase eclipses. They're called eclipse chasers. So when there is a total solar eclipse within your country, it, at least for somebody as enthusiastic about astronomy as myself, is imperative that you not only... Sure, I could watch it from where I'm at, or people from Chicago could watch it from there at, but you just travel a few hundred miles in one or the other direction, and you can get to the path of totality. That is your responsibility, my friends. It is what I've charged with you. All right, let's go to sleep here, and before we get totally destroyed by mobs, let's go to sleep, and we'll continue in the morning. And awakeness. So yeah, there's certainly, like I said, 2 years to plan, but I will definitely be traveling to, if not the actual central path of most totality, I think it's like there's actually, you can look on Google Maps and they figured out down to the exact coordinates where specifically you should be for the longest duration totality of this total solar eclipse. And it's like, obviously some farmland, some road, there's some crossroads and some farmland. So there's some farmer somewhere who's going to either make a lot of money or just be very surprised if he's not paying attention and isn't aware of the event, with the amount of people who are going to be suddenly on his roads and around the farm. So that would be interesting. I would fear about the crowds or the feasibility of doing such a thing on what is probably private property. We'll be planning our best to be getting to the best location. Also, what I've heard from folks in my astronomy club, sure, you want to get to a place where you can get the most totality, but it also, the effect, the experience of a total eclipse is affected by the landscape around you. So sure, you could be in the middle of a soybean field and capture the most eclipse, but is that really the most interesting place to watch it? Perhaps you can find a place in the mountains to have a beautiful surroundings. One of there are a few eclipse chasers in the astronomy club I used to belong to, and one of their favorite ones was, I don't even know if it was a total eclipse or not, but it was low on the horizon, and I don't even think they got the full duration of the totality, but it was somewhere up in the Arctic Circle, and they said even though it wasn't the longest or the most the longest duration or the most total eclipse they've seen, it was the most dramatic to them because they were just surrounded by ice and just frozen tundra and frozen mountains in the distance, and the sun was very low on the horizon because they were near the Arctic Circle. I think they probably went to somewhere up in Canada or something, and they just think that was the most kind of breathtaking. It almost felt like you were on another planet watching an eclipse for them. So that's always something to take into account as well. Of course, speaking of traveling, I did travel halfway across the country to Kitt Peak, Arizona, to watch the... is that lava just floating over there? Okay. It's still rendering in the distance. But yeah, to see the transit of Venus, which is even more rare than a solar eclipse. Saw the transit of Venus from atop Kitt Peak, and that was a cool location to have seen it. Other people in my... astronomy club traveled as well. One of them went to Utah and were at what's it called? Zion? Is it Zion National Park? It's kind of the one that's kind of a cool place. Or I'm sure you could have gone to the Grand Canyon to have seen it. So you got to take that into account, the surroundings and whatnot. I mean, it might even be cool, say, if Okay, sure, maybe you do live in Chicago, but up in a high-rise, if you can go up to the viewing deck and watch the solar eclipse from there, you might not get totality. I don't know. Totality kind of matters. Sure, the duration of totality might be a little bit different, but totality matters. To be able to see the actual corona and have the halo around for whatever amount of time is a thing, as opposed to just getting the crescent effect. So at least go for totality, and then from there you have a whole swath of America to decide what your surrounding landscape will be. But yeah, we'll think about that in the next couple of years. We got some time to plan. Am I right? Or am I right? Right. So yeah, thank you very much, TPK42, for that donation and the question. Dan P. from Chicago, speaking of Chicago, asks, are there any other explory, moody, mysterious, puzzly type games you have your eye on to play? I have quite a few on my list. I have a notepad list of all these indie games that I see that get released. Whether or not they're just small little things. You know, it's what those little games like I play The Bends, or Proteus, or Purgatorius, or The Mountain. You know, sometimes little just tiny indie games like that, or full-fledged games where we'll end up playing something like Lifeless Planet, or Cairo, you know, stuff like that. I have a whole list that I should really get to. That should be my goal. There's been a lot of big games coming out. You know, we've had Dirt Rally and Spin Tires, and we do speedrunners, obviously, and there's GTA 5 that will possibly start to play coming up, the multiplayer, the online stuff with friends, maybe. And, you know, we've had a lot of bigger games. Maybe I should take a quick step back and consult my list of little indie games that we can kind of get a one-off video on. Obviously, you know, similar things like Dungeon Highway we played, Distance, what was the other one? Race the Sun was on that list. I just happened to have gotten in contact with the developer through Fedrin, through our friend Fedrin. She's like an indie game to YouTube matchmaker through the Twitters, and she got a copy of that from the developer for me to play, and we played that. That was really fun. But yeah, we'll have to maybe consult that list again and get some of those. Those are nice and refreshing to not really be bogged down by multiple episodes of a series and just play an indie game. But no, I can't think of, the reason I have a list is because I have a terrible memory. So I can't really think of anything too specific. I mean, explory, mysterious, moody, you know, we'll be keeping an eye on No Man's Sky. But yeah, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to come up with names there. But yeah, those are generally the type of games. You know what type of games I play. So yeah, the explory, moody, mysterious, puzzly type games. Puzzly, maybe not so hot on the puzzles, but those are kind of inevitable. I mean, even something like Gravity Ghost was really cool to have played. Ooh, that's neat. It's like the sand. It's like a sand avalanche. Sand avalanche coming down that middle there. Neat. Neat, I say. Neat. Woof. Am I going the right way? Yes, I am. That's good. Let's see here. An anonymous donor has a question about Eva. Is your dog's name Eva, like a spacewalk, EVA? Or Ava, like Ava Longoria? Or Iva, like a Czech woman? What? That's kind of random. Also, does she respond when Wolfie barks? Well, she can't hear when Wolfie barks because I'm wearing headphones. Obviously, when I'm editing and things like that, you can kind of hear the wolf, but it's in the distance. She doesn't really get affected too much by television noises. I've even tried. There's these videos up on YouTube that it's guaranteed to make your dog howl or bark back, where it's other dogs or wolves or something howling in the distance, and she doesn't care 2 minutes for any of that. So no, doesn't respond or anything like that. And it is Eva, as in EVA, Eva. Yeah, it's not Ava, and it's not Iva. Eva. It's kind of just, you know, it's nice to have a short name that can be easily shouted long distances when the dog is running away or misbehaving, as opposed to Bartholomew or some sort of long name for a dog. But yeah, that was that's where that comes from. But yeah, she really doesn't care. A few times I was watching Lord of the Rings and those hound type dogs that the orcs ride on were like howling in the distance, and she kind of like perked up and looked around like, what the heck? And a few times, if there's a doorbell like on the TV, she'll kind of perk up and respond to that. But more kind of, she doesn't start barking or start freaking out that there's somebody at the door. Even when the UPS guy rings the doorbell, she's just kind of like almost notifying me of it, like looking at me like, aren't you going to do something about that? But yeah, a few times that, but she doesn't really respond to false noises or anything on TV or on my computer or anything like that. So thank you very much for that question. Chromaberry, I had a question like this already, but Chromaberry asks, what are some of the things on your bucket list that you hope to accomplish in the near future? And what is the wildest goal on your bucket list? I had a question like this previously. Last week it might have even been. I don't really have bucket list items. Like I mentioned, if it was to be totally crazy and possibly not possible at all, like going to outer space, you know, that sort of thing would be on a bucket list. The impossible bucket list, I need some sort of wealthy financier bucket list. But yeah, I don't know that I have too much of a bucket list. Perhaps racing a car in an like actual competitive race, like a race car situation, would be kind of an interesting experience for somebody who likes racing games and the racing stuff and cars and whatnot. It is up for debate whether or not I'm any good. Just check out the comments of any recent dirt rally video and or Assetto Corsa video. But suppose that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have like any. I'm not a goals person. I kind of just go with the flow. That's kind of how I ended up here. It was kind of, well, just try this out for a little bit, and then, oh, hey, okay, I can do this actually full time. Hey, that works. All right, sure, let's do that. All right, I'll just continue doing that as long as I can. I am literally just adrift without a paddle. I have a very tiny paddle, perhaps. But these analogies are getting crazy and strange. So let's go to sleep, and we'll continue walking in the morning. And I need a sip of waterness. Woof indeed, Wolfie. Woof indeed. That's one thing Wolfie doesn't do is drink water. How do you survive without dehydrating to death? Perhaps there is some sort of water content in the raw pork chop bones, or perhaps he drinks whilst swimming. That's not very advised. I don't know what the saltwater content in Minecraft oceans are, but whoop. He's been doing all right so far. It's the falling that we got to worry about, not his sustenance. Let's see here. Whoa, whoa, okay. Watch it, Wolfie. That wouldn't have been the first time we've fallen victim to a strange single pixel opening in the ground. Looking at the questions. Gray Morality asks, do you have a favorite comic book or comic book character? I don't read that many comic books, or recently any at all, so I can't quite say I have an answer for that one. The only comic books that I was really actually reading in series and continually reading was the Powers series, but I actually even stopped keeping up with that a while ago, and I even have forgotten the name of the characters in that game. It has been recently picked up as a show on PlayStation Plus Network or whatever they do. There's a show actually, Powers, and they have actual, like a live action show and, actual actors and stuff. I haven't seen it. I obviously don't have PlayStation, but and I'm not sure if you can get it anywhere else. Can you? I don't know. So yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not sure I have a favorite comic book or comic book character. But the only comic book I really read was Powers. An anonymous donor at... Ooh, mushrooms. Mushroom. What is your favorite mode of public transportation? Personally, I'm a big fan of trains. You just always seem to meet someone interesting on a long train trip. Perhaps that is why I have avoided trains. Yeah, I'm not a fan of public transportation in general. I mean, I suppose airplanes. I mean, I just simply enjoy flight and airplanes and stuff like that. What with my interest in space flight, also flight in general, airplanes and stuff like that. But hi, Wolfie. Probably airplanes. Could we still consider that a mode of public transportation? Or are you speaking more of publicly owned transportation, like the CTA, or trains, or the L, or something like that? I would be interested in, like if I had a bunch of time, instead of a cross-country flight, doing like a train thing. You know, you get like the sleeper cars and whatnot. I mean, that always has some sort of nostalgic attraction to it, I suppose. But I've always looked at it, and it always seems, you know, that like has to be your vacation, is the train ride. It's like you can't really need to be somewhere fast. You gotta, oh god, you've got to have to deal with the fact that you're gonna take a few days to get to a place. But yeah, I don't know. I guess is planes? Let's go with airplanes. Southwest is the CTA of the sky, is often the joke. Oh man. But yeah, all right. That's how that goes. Dark Glasses asks, do you like bike riding apart from driving? What are your favorite ways to travel? Hey, apparently I've organized these questions according to theme. Bike riding. I'm assuming you're talking about bicycle? Like pedal? Human-powered bike riding? I did. I haven't owned a bike in a many year, probably a decade even. So yeah, I haven't done much or any of that at all recently. But yeah, I mean, bike riding was all right. Often as a kid, I would just ride my bike before you get your license. Obviously, that's your sole source of freedom. So yeah, we would ride our bikes quite long distances around, and that was always fun. What was the other question there? Apart from driving, what are your favorite ways to travel? Driving, airplanes. These are all answered at once. We're getting redundant here, but no, that's fine. And yeah, I'm actually starting from the bottom of the list now, so these might be kind of old questions. So I apologize, Dark Glasses, Gray Morality, and all you folks down here for the delay in getting to your questions. Let's see here. Brian, not the Brian we're doing Wayward Wonders with, but a different Brian, Farlander Brian. Ow! Half a heart. I'm learning a lot from Wolfie. Well, that's cactus. Let's go this way, Wolfie. Oh, God. Wolfie, I just told you that was cactus, and what do? You gotta go and check? It's like when the waiter brings you your food. Careful, the plate's hot. You gotta test it just to see what their definition of hot is. And look at me, now I'm stealing Jerry Seinfeld jokes. What was I gonna say here? Oh, Brian asks, Kurt, what will you do when you finally get to the far lands? And then, what's next? That, I've mentioned many times, is not even something that's on my radar. It's so far gone, so far away, and even our very generous donor who generously donated us to get up and near and practically to our goal said he's looking forward to the next few decades worth of Far Lands or Bust. So yeah, it's not even anything that's on my radar. I'm not even planning for the solar eclipse in 2017. You think I'm planning for what happens when I reach the Far Lands? I think there's going to be far more interesting things that will be happening leading up to that, such as reaching the next point of floaty pointiness and having the remainder roll over again and having the the offset double. That sure will be interesting, and we'll even have to consider what to do about the fact that the video is really going to be almost unbearable, perhaps even for me at that point. So yeah, I haven't even given it any thought. Just, oh, then turn to the right and try to reach the corner of far lands. Sure, whatever. But at that point, I believe there will be many other things to consider that are we can't even fathom at this point. So, while I do appreciate your enthusiasm and your go-get-'emness to get to the far lands, it is a long ways away. It is such a long ways away, and that kind of is what's amazing, I think, to me at least. Careful, pig! Well, since you are very much like Wolfie, just jumping off cliffs, perhaps you two should get to know each other. I said perhaps you two should get to know each other. Oh, that was a silent kill. Oh man, Wolfie knows. Let's see here. Anonymous donor asks, do you like football? I presume you're talking about the American football? I do not. That is just a sport that I do not get into. I mean, I could theoretically sit down and watch a basketball game or a baseball game. It's been a long time, but I've been to a few hockey games. But the footballs, no thanks. Not at all in any capacity really interested in that. I am afraid, but perhaps this question was asked back when the Super Bowl was happening. That is how old some of these questions might be. Oh man, keeping up to date here on Far Lands or Bust. It's all right. We've still got 20 whatever years to get to the Far Lands. We can hold on to questions for a few extra months. It's all right. Plenty of time. Nor_I has asked, do you believe mankind... Ooh, we're suddenly going from do you like football to pondering questions about the future of humanity. Do you believe mankind could handle the direct approach of a huge asteroid, be able to change its flight path or survive the impact? And what is it about the promised revelation? And what is about the promised revelation of your move? I don't understand the wording of that last question. Honestly, I don't. But I will do my best to answer the question about the asteroid impact. In our current capacity of technological advance, I do not think we could do anything about it. The best we could do is get early warning of such thing. An asteroid coming in, and then maybe if we would have the time to then divert resources to engineer and create and study some sort of method of deflection or ensuring our survival, then perhaps. But without much warning, and it's been said and preached many times by many a NASA scientist and just people of public interest, regardless, that it should be a higher priority than it currently is. Just, I mean, and even really spaceflight just in general would benefit that. I mean, even if we're not saying, okay, Wolfie, you're gonna have to move a little bit. Even if we're not saying, okay, here, let's increase the funding to NASA. It doesn't necessarily have to say, oh, that's because we're trying to protect ourselves from an asteroid, but just in general, assisting and funding space exploration and not even necessarily human spaceflight, but just space exploration and science and understanding would give us a leg up on the technology and the ability to potentially prevent such a global disaster. And it's one of those things. I'm sure there's a. Whoops, that's bad. I'm sure there's a proper quote about how it's a low probability event, but a high risk event. That's to say, it's completely unlikely that even in the next 100,000 years, that is not my workbench, we would ever experience any sort of apocalyptic situation with an asteroid. But if we do, it's not something that we can just shake off. It's going to be apocalyptic, catastrophic. So you might as well, just like the chances of, if you live in the plains, of getting hit by a tornado are statistically not too high, but because the statistics is still there, and because if you happen to get hit by a tornado, it is catastrophic, you probably should have some sort of storm shelter or some sort of basement or situation in place to protect yourself. Even if the chances are statistically low, certainly higher than an asteroid impact, but statistically low, the give and take, the upshot of being prepared is much better than getting hit and not being prepared. Am I making the sense? So yeah, that's my rather roundabout answer to that question. But I do appreciate all the questions and all the donations, regardless of whether or not they were big ones, like from our friend earlier who joined us through the New Yorker article and then got us all this way over the weekend, or any of the donations who are just giving us little remainders to round off the decimal point here, where we're up to $50,175. And you can keep donating. Just because we reached our goal doesn't mean you have to stop donating. And we continue raising money and adding to that total throughout the Flobathon. So we'll have further details about that soon. And I hope everybody has had a good day and has enjoyed this episode of Far Lands or Busts. My name is Kurt. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. I have a very tiny paddle, perhaps.